My name is Mark Price, and I am a member of the Brain Trust at RetailWire, which is retailwire.com, a central location for cutting-edge thinking about the trends that are going on in retail today. I'm very lucky today to have a special guest with us, and I'm going to let Aparna introduce herself and give us a little bit of background on her role at Verizon and maybe a little bit about how you got to be doing what you're doing as well. So Aparna, tell us some things about you.
Sure. Hello, Mark. I'm here in New Jersey, quite cold here. Very nice to be here on this podcast. So Aparna Khurjekar, and I am the Chief Revenue Officer for Verizon Business, small and medium. And when I say small and medium, it's anything with FTE under 1,000, so under 1,000 employees. So you're really talking about a large swath, almost about 99.7% of businesses in the US fit in that. And we've got about 30 million of them in over 30 million of them in the US. And my remit really is to actually strategize, bring the right products and solutions at the right value proposition to the customers, the businesses that we serve across the country, across all channels. I'm talking frontline salespeople, I'm talking telesales, digital partner channels, and also bring in SaaS solutions that Verizon either partners or develops within Verizon. And you asked a little bit, Mark, about myself and how I got here. I call myself an accidental salesperson. I am a technologist. I actually started in Bell Labs as a software developer doing chipset design, always in the telecom industry. Got a chance to work in Motorola on a whole bunch of marquee devices like the Razr, dating myself, if anybody remembers that device. I call it the first true smartphone. And in Verizon, I have done various jobs, including really managing the network and doing the operations for the network, doing products on the consumer side, doing digital, and then finally have found myself here and just loving the job and loving bringing everything, including the core technology, to the fore to serve our customers in the small and medium space.
That is great. Now, as you look at the small and medium space, which, as you mentioned, is an enormous percentage of businesses in the United States, 2023 was unusual. There were so many things going on globally as well as domestically to lead small businesses to really struggle with their direction going forward. Now, obviously, in your role, you've had to really try to get an understanding of what small and medium-sized businesses are thinking about. And I wondered if you could just, from a perspective of 2023, just give us a little bit of background about what was in the head of your customers. And you may want to say, you know, the really smaller ones, maybe the medium, the larger ones, you may want to break it. I don't know if they all had the same issues or not.
Yeah. Mark, you bring up a very good point. I mean, sometimes we just put with a paintbrush, just say SMB, and, you know, it's kind of suddenly miraculously everything under that swath of that moniker, right? SMB. But honestly, there are companies of all different shapes and sizes, some early stage companies, some companies that are perfectly okay in the service industry, especially with 5 and 10 people, and some that are 500 to 1,000 that are literally touching enterprises, right? The mid-cap companies. So we see everything across the board. The good news is that all of them have kind of similar headwinds and tailwinds, and quite like where the enterprises are. How those tailwinds or headwinds impact them can be different depending on how deep their pockets are, which typically for small and medium businesses aren't that deep. The access to capital, which typically when your inflation's high, interest rates are high, isn't that accessible, right? So those things change, but the headwinds, tailwinds stay the same. You call that 2023 as a unique year. And honestly, we were hoping, all of us were, that 23 was a little bit of a, you know, let's get back into the steady state after the pandemic and all that we saw as the aftermath of that, right? Especially through supply chain disruption and just sort of this whole question on are the customers coming back? Are they coming back into the stores? Are they staying digital and such? But 23 did not really end up where we wanted it to be because there was a lot of volatility, especially given, as you called out, the geopolitical landscape and what it did in terms of the uncertainties, what we saw out in China and others. But most importantly, with the inflation and the way it was on the rise. And what we saw really was in times like that, companies across the board, notwithstanding the size and what stage they're in, really hunkered down. So the thing that we saw was a lot of the ambitious projects on the top line kind of either slowed down or were put on pause. And a lot of the cost initiatives, be it, hey, how do I use my dollars towards marketing the right way? Or how do I make sure that I am using workforce and support for the workforce the right way with data analytics and leveraging the right kinds of solutions and automation? Or how am I thinking about better serving the customer from a customer experience perspective? Those things came to the fore. But regardless, what I will tell you is, independent of whether it's, or irrespective of whether it's the top line or the cost measures, technology was in the forefront of every discussion that we've had. And when I say technology, it starts with kind of ensuring that they've got the basics of technology done, and then finding the right solutions that can help them with the efficiencies. Majority of the projects we saw were in that realm.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm sure that the fear of a recession, which did not come in 2023, combined with interest rates being as high as they were, and the costs of raw materials and the products that retailers sell continuing to go up, and the retailers not having a lot of margin to give away to try to keep prices consistent. In many cases, the retailers were forced to pass it along to customers who looked at it as yet another sign of their personal budgets getting squeezed, which tended to mean they were more thoughtful about purchases, right? They forego purchases or delayed them. The consumers did, which translated, it seemed, from what you said, into the experience of the retailers as well, doing exactly the same thing. Now, you can't talk about 23 without talking about AI. AI was a huge game changer in 23, at least in consumer perceptions, not necessarily in what happened in 23, but it created a lot of fear. And I'm wondering, as you talk to customers, as you talk to your salespeople, what happened and what did it mean?
Yeah. So you're right. And I think, Mark, you hit it on the nail. The consumers suddenly woke up to this whole story around artificial intelligence and how it is that we can build from there, right? But what I will tell you is, without knowing or calling it AI or knowing that they were using AI, my sales team and the consumers were already seeing the benefits from different businesses starting to use AI. And what do I mean by that? And I will not go into the differentiation of ML versus deep learning versus cognitive versus AI versus what we're talking now about Gen AI. But what I will tell you is, the pure models, taking a lot of data, doing the assessment, and creating pure models that can actually help us define how to move next, have been in vogue across a lot of solutions. So if a company is using the right kinds of solutions to ensure that they've got the right MROI, marketing ROI, their dollar is going towards the right channel, and they're leveraging it for the right kind of a demand gen, they're using AI. If you're using any form of a chatbot in your customer service, which, by the way, we are starting to see a lot of small, medium businesses get to, especially with the paucity of skilled labor and the increase that they're seeing in workforce costs, right? They're using AI. If they're using it for fraud or security, so Verizon offers a whole bunch of security solutions where we are constantly monitoring every bit and byte that's passing over our network. We are using AI to be ascertaining what kinds of traffic is moving across and what is it that we should be doing today and next. So AI is already being in use. I was talking about sales. My sales team is leveraging a lot of tools, that some homegrown, some third parties that we've integrated together, to actually be able to help them serve the customer better. What is this customer about? What is it that they need? And how is it that I can serve them? What's the next best action, right? That's all AI. So the good news is AI is not new, although it may be embedded in the solutions that you're using. And the even better news is that with the real big woke story around AI now, everybody's starting to leverage that in big ways, so that we can find more efficiencies, both for top line as well as for the margins.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that these retailers may not, in their minds, be necessarily using AI. They're using tools, maybe tools that are similar to what they used before, but they're using them in much bigger, broader, and more meaningful ways. And oh, by the way, in the back room, don't tell anybody, there's a bunch of AI spinning away. That is improving it.
So solutions are getting more and more sophisticated as these models are getting a lot more sophisticated. They're getting better solutions. They're getting more efficiency from these solutions. And there are newer and newer kinds of solutions that are available for almost everything. You know how we used to say there's an app for that? There's now an AI for that, right? And now we're kind of starting to improve on that. It could be embedded in a SaaS solution. It could be embedded in what it is that you're already doing and leveraging. But that's the goodness, and that's what is extremely exciting. The thing that we get really excited about is, for AI or any of these technologies to run, you really need what we call our 4Cs, and the customer's 4Cs. And I'm talking about any business. It starts with making sure that your bits and bytes can transfer from humans to machines to the next machine to the next human. And that's all about connectivity. And we are all about kind of reducing the digital divide there, improving the connectivity with all our investments there. Then you move into making sure that it is secure. So cybersecurity, and ensuring that the end-to-end device protection, network protection, data protection is all accounted for, right? Just with the increase that we are seeing. And you'd be surprised, Mark, many a times I'm talking to small, medium businesses and they're not aware. They're like, oh yeah, that whole ransomware thing, that's all an enterprise, because you hear these big companies being ransomwared and held hostage. But honestly, what's happening is majority of the ransomware attacks are happening in the small, medium businesses because they're easier and quicker to get, and majority of them are for financial gains. So making sure that...
Yes, and my perception on that is that the ransomware is just simply trolling out there for anywhere they can get into. And because there are so many SMBs out there, they just end up doing a lot of that. Am I wrong?
You're right. I'm taking you for my next sales call.
Okay.
So we can make sure that the small, medium businesses start becoming a lot more aware of that. The third piece then becomes, you have with this hybrid workforce, even for small and medium, a lot of people either in the business or sitting outside needing to communicate. So collaboration tools, the right kinds of tools that you can be offering out to your customers to be available 24/7, as well as to your employees, very important. And once you have these 3Cs, the fourth one is very important also, cloud, and how it is that your data strategy is situated. A lot of small, medium businesses are starting cloud native. Many of them are hybrid. And that helps because once you have this platform of the 4Cs, now you can be talking about what SaaS solutions do I need for my online presence? What do I need for my productivity tools? What do I need for CX? And start building that portfolio the right way and solve for the customer needs.
Excellent. So can you go through the 4Cs one more time? So
absolutely.
Connectivity was the first one. Communication was the last. Okay. Cybersecurity.
Yep. The third one is making sure that on top of it, you've got the collaboration tools. Okay. And then cloud. And honestly, we help every company, no matter what size, really think through their portfolio of solutions across these four first. Shore up your connectivity, make sure it's secure, make sure you're bringing in the right collaboration tools from Verizon, elsewhere. We have a whole bunch that absolutely work for every size of small, medium, and enterprise business. And then make sure that you've got the right choices you're making on cloud on top of it. Now you're set to move into the world. And you know what? You want to pick an AI solution or solution based on AI. You've got that. You want to use Gen AI and leverage, any of the chatbot functionalities and such that are starting to show up there with natural language processing. You've got that as an opportunity, and you can start building from there. And I'm sure you're seeing this as well, but we love the opportunity for small, medium businesses to compete almost in a democratized way, right? Because one, they have access to a lot of these solutions, but two, guess who is more propense to going and taking these on and taking on a little bit of the risk to say, I don't know how this is going to work. Let me test the solution. It's that small, medium business because they're nimble and they are really trying to go differentiate. So they're almost at the forefront most of the times because of that in adopting technology.
How do you balance that then, Aparna, with the fact that they have limited resources? Because when I ran a small company, I used to say that I could put, the good news is it was my company. I could put a chip on any number on the roulette wheel that I wanted. The bad news is I only had 4 chips.
That's right. And this is where I think we come in to help them with just making sure what is absolutely non-negotiable, like don't skimp on your connectivity. Let's just make sure that you've got the right security on it, right? Let's make sure that you're able to communicate very reliably on top of that. And now what you've got to do is really decide on where it is that you're standing with your value proposition and your differentiation, right? Are you a cloud native company, a digital first company, and where is it that then you invest there? What is your marketing strategy to tie to that? You may not know this, but one of the things that Verizon does is we have a CSR group that has invested heavily in a Verizon digital ready platform only for small and medium businesses. And Mark, what we do is we help a lot of these small and medium businesses come in and learn what it means to run a business, what it means to be positive and profitable, and how you grow, and where is it that you need to be taking chances. You can even bring in mentors.
Nice.
And really serve them in a way where they're thinking about their business holistically.
That is great. Let me switch subjects for you and just ask you about some other technology that, with the CES show, the Consumer Electronics Show, just finishing up. Once again, we've seen a lot about AR, VR, so virtual reality, goggles and glasses. And in prior years, there was a lot of noise about this, and it didn't seem to cross the chasm. It didn't seem to become in any way mainstream. I was wondering from your perspective, as you look at the technologies out there, do you think this is the year coming ahead where this becomes mainstream, or are we still a few years out?
Yeah, so here's the thing. AR, VR, anything around robotics, very, very important in innovations happening there. We've also heard some big companies get into the fray this year, right? So we're looking forward to some new AR goggles that, I'm sure are going to be the sort of that next pushing the envelope. My take on this is at the price point we are at, there are going to be niche solutions. We're seeing them even in mid-sized companies on the factory floors for training, but those are niche solutions. If you want scale, we are going to have to get 1 0 out, possibly even 2 zeros out from that price tag. And until that happens, I think the innovation in terms of content as well as the use cases are only going to be few and far between. Does that happen this year? I suspect not. But I think we'll keep seeing that envelope getting pushed in each and every year.
I would agree with you 100%. When I saw that the goggles are still, 1,300, 15, 3,500, that's in no way is it going to become mainstream when it's, if you imagine how iPhones migrated up to be $1,000 items, they didn't start that way. And then over time, there were more features, more benefits, and the price kept going up. This has started all the way at the top. And as a result of it, it's going to be for specific kinds of business uses, which I think are fascinating, particularly for training. It can be amazing. But for a mainstream, consumer audience, I can't really see that happening.
Yeah, and we didn't even
go ahead.
Talk about sort of the experience and how comfortable people are with wearing a glass all the time. And there's more work to be done from an ergonomics and the comfort level, the ease. But I guess generally the verdict is that the world is moving there. You are going to have these smart devices, augmented virtual reality for the right kinds of solutions, and extending them into more and more of that world where everything's connected. And
if you add,
AI,
go ahead. Yes, I was going to say, if you add AI, exactly, AI would permit it to have more capabilities over time.
Right.
But the cost is still, at the moment, an overwhelming barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Do you have a couple case examples of specific clients, maybe in the smaller and in the larger, where you've really made a difference in 23 in what they were going to do when they started? You came in and you were, in effect, a force extender. So you were more staff, but you were also a thought extender to help them do things that they never really thought about doing.
Yeah. So I have 1.6 million of those. Where do you want me to start?
How about a small one?
But I will tell you, across the board, day in and day out, and I personally call customers, those who are with us, those who leave us sometimes, few of them, and how we can bring them back. And we learn a ton and we keep improving. One of the things that we are trying to do is make sure that we bring a complete portfolio of solutions to these customers. So we have tremendous number of examples on how it is that we've been able to transform mid-sized companies, small-sized companies with a box now, which they can connect, don't have to wait for a truck roll to come in and do connectivity in a big way, right? So Jake was talking about the internet that he has. We love fiber, but where there isn't fiber, we've got a box. Literally, I can ship it to you today. You plug it in, turn it on, and you can connect multiple devices to that box through Wi-Fi, and that has 5G in the back end. And it can take you back into wherever it is that you want to connect. And we have seen businesses, food trucks, for example, just light up businesses, temporary solutions like in construction, where it takes months to get connectivity into a construction site. And by then your construction may even be done, where now all that they do is place the order, next day they have the connectivity. And imagine the kinds of solutions I see with that construction company light up on day one, not just to start connecting outside, but also within. One of the areas that we are starting to move into in a big way is through solutions like Connect that we have, which is an aftermarket telematics, is making sure that we're bringing a lot of connectivity into devices and connecting that with the enterprise solutions as well. And we're seeing some huge amount of growth there. Not to say now, and this was a little bit of a surprise for me, you may have heard of private networks. So these are solutions that we can create and stand up a completely secure, deterministic network, your own network in a warehouse, on a factory floor, in an entire building. And lots of companies, just yesterday I was talking to a company which is a farm. And we have a private network on the farm, and they're using it to connect a lot of their ag tech solutions within the network and also help consumers with Wi-Fi there in a much broader coverage. So lots and lots of examples across all industries.
So two questions for you. You mentioned telematics. Not everyone, I think, knows what telematics is. Can you talk a little bit about what that is, how you enable it, and what the benefit is?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking that. So telematics is connecting cars in a way where you can be bringing in sophisticated solutions into the cars and taking a lot of the data from the car to ensure that you're doing predictive maintenance, travel logs, where is it that you can be improving on your fuel consumptions and such. So Verizon has a solution called Verizon Connect. It's our own solution, which we offer for commercial vehicles. So think about a lawn mowing company having their own set of vehicles, or think about even the postal services having their vehicles, connecting them in a way where the drivers get the right kind of information, and the company can get the right information to connect back into enterprise on driver routing, car usage, idle time, and also through video, any form of driver distraction and saving lives through that. So lots of great examples with telematics that we're seeing, and we are absolutely predicting every car out there being connected, every vehicle out there being connected for these reasons.
Now, people might look at that and get concerned because they would feel like they're losing their privacy in some way, and it would contribute more to being watched all the time. How do you explain the benefits? I'm thinking more at the smaller businesses, so that the people who are using who are going out on repair calls, for example, for a heating and air conditioning company, and you've got 5 techs and they go out. How do you keep them from, getting upset or losing the message in the noise?
Yeah. So the first thing I will tell you is, through a lot of requirements coming from the government, the FTC, ELD requirements, such, companies have to keep a log of driver hours, vehicle hours, routes, and such. So it's absolutely a requirement that's coming in most industries. Secondly, this is a win-win situation, because the driver, and I have personally seen videos where the driver may get distracted, and this device is beeping and telling the driver, you gotta get focused again, because you're about to get into a collision of some sort. So we are making sure that the driver on the receiving end is seeing the value. They're also getting a lot of prompts on, hey, this is a faster route, or hey, you can save gas in this way, or this is how you can improve your productivity. And there's a lot of coaching that's going on around that. And then, of course, the company benefits too. So we personally have seen little to no pushback from the employees, because it's becoming more of a norm. But there is also a huge amount of value that the company is getting, but also the driver as well.
That's great. Thank you. And we talked a lot about what you saw in 23. So now, as we're starting up in January of 2024, the Fed has indicated that they're not going to be increasing interest rates in the near term. What do you see in terms of the economic outlook? And then what do you see in terms of the outlook that your customer base has going forward?
Yeah. So luckily for us, we are starting to see a little bit of the easing of the flow of capital. We saw it even in the CPI, the consumer index, through November and December. We had, and lots of retailers, most of the retailers had a good November, a good December, good holiday season. That's just a good kind of indicator on what's coming. We are starting to see a little bit of the opening of, like, yes, we had this project on pause. We want to go ahead and execute on it. We are expanding. We are going to go build a few more sites, and we need more connectivity. So we're already starting to see sort of the precursors of the opening up. Yet there is a little bit of the let's wait and watch. I think the one thing that especially companies of this size, small and medium, have learned through COVID is they've got to make sure that they are always looking out a little more around the corner and bracing for that, and keeping a little more in their pockets for those rainy days. So this is where we definitely see them being cautiously optimistic. The other piece is we are getting a lot of questions on like, hey, how are you using AI, Verizon? What is it that we can be doing with AI? How is it that you would suggest we use IoT and the right kinds of solutions to integrate back? So that's good news, which is both, again, from a top line, right kinds of growth, but also from an efficiency measure, it can help them, and definitely something that they can continue to build on.
That's great. And I'm going to call you back. Can you define IoT?
Yes.
And then say a little bit about how people use that?
Yes. And thank you for asking about that. And I should have mentioned earlier. So Internet of Things, actually 10 years ago when I started in the space of IoT, it was called machine to machine. So some of you may know it as machine to machine, but it's really Internet of Things. And what this is taking any device that's out there and connecting it back. So it could be your watch, it's an IoT device, but it's also sensors or asset trackers. So you've got something which is a heavy equipment and you want to track it. What I called out with VZ Connect, that is a perfect example of an Internet of Things. It's connected back into the internet. And what we can do is, say a company has a warehouse. How do you tag every asset in that warehouse and make sure that you know the whereabouts of that? What's going on a pallet and where is that pallet currently if you need to go track it? That's a perfect example from an asset tracking perspective. Utility companies are looking at IoT to make sure every meter is connected back into their main system. So we've got connectivity there. The good news on each one of these is they need to connect back into the mothership, and that's where Verizon comes in a big way.
And one of the real benefits of being able to connect that is to be able to predict in advance when machines are going to break down.
Yep.
So that if you know that a machine is likely to break down next week, you can do maintenance on it this week and then have it not break down. So you should be able to see, superior performance, and that is both on the business side and on the consumer side.
That is so
and
well
so
said.
It has a tremendous predictive analytics combined with IoT is the game changer.
Yeah. Predictive fault tolerance and predictive analysis analytics is a huge deal and definitely one of the big mainstays of IoT. I agree.
So it has been a complete delight to talk to you today. Is there anything else that you would like to add to our podcast audience as we talk about SMB and, the market going forward? Is there anything that we've missed in our conversation?
No, I think this was a great conversation. The one thing I would add is sometimes as we're talking to these businesses who may not be digitally savvy as yet, or who may be digitally native but don't know where to go next, who may be in the early stages and trying to figure out how is it that they scale. All that I request them to do is just stop by in one of the Verizon stores, go to our website, get a tech check with us. It doesn't cost you anything, but we are here to help you because we want to make sure we are building the U.S. economy in a way that one SMB is being built, and we want to be there as their trusted partners. Each SMB one at a time, no matter what shape and size, no matter what industry they're coming in with, be it construction or retail or service, we're here to help them, Mark.
And I think you also mentioned the training and support you have to help them actually in the running of their businesses, not just in how do you sell more Verizon product, but you can actually help these businesses succeed overall.
Thank you.
And that seems to be something that some of the smaller businesses particularly might really want to take advantage of.
Yeah, so Verizon Digital Ready Platform, you don't even have to be a Verizon customer to do this. You can get on get on our website there on the Digital Ready Platform. There are a whole bunch of podcasts, training materials, how you manage your financials, how you go look for aid. We also have our own aid that we provide in terms of dollars. We also have some pro bono work that we do for legal support. We can connect you with right mentors in the industry as well. So go check us out because we're here, again, to help the small, medium businesses grow. They're the backbone of the U.S. economy, and we want to see that backbone get stronger and stronger and stronger.
That's a perfect way to end the conversation today. Thank you so much for your time. Just to remind everyone, this podcast is brought to you by Retail Wire. You can find us at retailwire.com, where we try to bring to you the latest thinking in retail, from supply chain to products to pricing to analytics to artificial intelligence. We try to be on the cutting edge and provide that as a service to people who are learning more about retail every day, because it is constantly changing every day. So thank you very much, and I wish everyone a great day.